we're going to be spectating Huncho to start. Straight off the bat, we're seeing a very different deck here. This could be, was it Blue Champion? Could be a Phoenix Control or maybe a Phoenix Lambo if there's a splash of yellow in there.
Basilisk and Phoenix, yeah. Basilisk is not a card you see run very often.
No, it's a very interesting card. It's one of the few times that we've allowed a color-based mechanic to sort of seep out of its main color. Banish obviously being traditionally very heavily... Ooh. Okay. This is a very different deck. I'm not sure what this deck is that Huncho's cooked up for this. Obviously the deck has worked so far. It's made it through to this round of this bracket.
Love the creativity, thanks Huncho. He's historically been one of those guys who's pushed the envelope with creativity. Although same with Cryptic Witcher. First person to win a tournament with a Rainiverse Champion deck.
Yeah.
Staked is Satoshi Nakamoto, wow. That might be a visual bug, I expect a bug.
No, it looks like...
Ooh, and the Manticore gets the double hit.
I guess Manticore is definitely not a card you want to banish back to your opponent's hand, is it?
Yeah, Manticore and Elon with that repeatable damage. Oh man, this is exciting. One Lambo, Oni, Phoenix, great. You just gotta hope that Huncho can last long enough to start pulling out some of these combos, eh? Because he's a bit behind in board state and doesn't have a lot to regain that this turn.
I mean, the Phoenix is a nice sort of mechanic to stabilize the board. Water Elemental there as well, although we don't have the 2 blue, we need to actually play it. Gets the Lambo out, so we're probably going to see a Phoenix next turn. That Phoenix Lambo combo, very, very powerful in terms of how it can trade. The
Could
Phoenix
be
keeps
an
getting
Oni.
bigger.
See if Cryptic Witcher positions around it if he's going to play a third minion here.
Yeah, Oni. Ooh,
yeah.
the Guardian's on top there a bit.
Well positioned with that Minotaur. Must have seen it coming.
Someone has been watching the formations reveals and realized the board position matters. Still not a bad time to play Oni, although it's just going to still be...
Yeah, I mean, it kills 2 and survives. Buffs the Fenrir by 1 power. And then we'll just get killed the turn off. There was no way to suicide the Phoenix there, so yeah, I think that was the right play.
Yeah, it's one of those weird spots where Phoenix just living sometimes can actually be an awkward spot for the player to be in. Obviously not getting the pump up and not sort of generating that long-term card advantage. Speaking of card advantage, what is there to say about Greed? Arguably one of the most powerful spells we've ever printed. Has the potential to draw 12 cards and give you an additional turn. And Huncho obviously there sitting on a collectible version of it. So the Basilisk, potentially just running the Basilisk to give access to that colour. And obviously there's some cute interactions between cards like Oni and Basilisk, using Basilisk to clear out a Guardian, potentially allowing a more advantageous trade.
I think he goes well with one Lambo. So Huncho's had his first Phoenix death, powering up and putting back on the top of his deck.
I wonder if you just Water Elemental here. Do you sort of... Do you wonder
the risk there is if he's got another Flame Salamander in hand.
Yeah, but then it's like, you know, if he's played one, what are the odds of having the other one? We start ending up in that, in the mind games aspect of it. Water Elemental being a 4/4, like, would Cryptic Witch just trade into that? Definitely wouldn't want a Basilisk, knowing the contents of Huncho's hand.
Yeah, and also with the overkill, naturally on the Flame Salamander, with when Lambo in play, that's quite dangerous to just have a 0-cost Flame Salamander at your disposal.
We're going to manage it back.
Yeah.
Maybe just tempting Cryptic Witcher to play it back out again, as opposed to...
Yeah, I mean, if he plays it and runs it into the Phoenix, reduces the face damage from 8 to 3, powers up the Phoenix again.
Manticore can then deal with it. Just in terms of a pumped body. An interesting play here would be if Cryptic Witcher had time travel. Swing in with the Salamander, time travel it back to your hands. Okay, there's two of them. It's got to be so tempting to cold storage here. Not quite enough to Water Elemental and a Phoenix. And not enough red to Manticore Phoenix. So potentially stake a Water Elemental away. That's not great either. Double Water Elemental feels... yeah. So I definitely think we're seeing the Phoenix trade. Then the question just literally becomes, do you want to cold storage just to block 8 points of damage? Potentially block 8 points of damage. We don't know where that third Flame Salamander is yet.
That's very unlikely at this point. Because it makes sense to me to cold storage now, but let's see what Huncho does.
Yep, there's the cold storage. Yeah. And I guess at least if Cryptic Witcher does stake the final Flame Salamander here, that at least gives Huncho the information of where all three of them are. Again, very powerful when you've got 3 Water Elementals in hand. Phoenix being just short of being able to trade at the moment, but potentially we can stake a Water Elemental, play Water Elemental Phoenix, freeze one, double trade into the other.
I like the Light Infusion edition as like a catch-up mechanism, because obviously like it takes a while to power up your Phoenix to the point where it can KO anything. And by that stage you've probably lost a bit of HP.
A couple of big Phoenixes like that, definitely. So we freeze the Flame Salamander, so we probably Phoenix and double trade into the evil. obviously the Phoenix will have an advantageous trade next turn. And obviously, yeah, there's like, we're still building up towards that massive greed. If Huncho's able to pull that off, just that level of card advantage, potentially that combo potential as well. If you can get a big enough Phoenix on the board, greed obviously giving you an extra turn, means all of your minions you played that turn can attack. Although there's obviously needs a bit more combo pieces to sort of pull off that sort of combo. There's the 7DS, we're going to draw 5 on that. Interesting. That Flame Salamander just keeps being just out of reach. Although obviously we know with the Huncho has the extra water elemental just to freeze it again.
Yeah.
At 21...
Kill the Minotaur and play the water elemental, right?
Yeah, at 21, do you Light Infusion here? Like, how...
I don't think you're that desperate. Like,
how much do you want to play around the Lust Chastity, I guess, is the question.
Need the airdrop as well.
And would need to have another red card in hand to stake, which potentially you got from the 7DS, but maybe didn't.
And you'd need to unfreeze the Flame Salamander with your third one, so it's just very unlikely that they'd be able to kill you in the next turn.
Yeah, I think we're going to see
calculated risk.
Phoenix swing into Water Elemental. Does leave a weak Phoenix on the board, so we're not going to get the power up this turn. Does decide to trade it in just to get that damage on there as well. So Huncho obviously 2 turns away from greed, and still needs 1 extra blue as well.
Stake the Hoskinson.
Oh, never feels good to stake a legendary, does it?
No, but he has been using a lot of his freeze combo pieces. We've seen 1 cold storage. How many? Ooh, there's the freeze. No way, he's got the full combo.
May not have the combo, but having enough guardians to... And gets the Phoenix hit too, that's pretty huge. There's so much card advantage coming out of 7DS.
Only heal 5 here, right?
It's not enough, because you only gain, with the way lifesteal interacts when you attack into a minion, is you only gain as much as you had, as health as the other minion has. So you can get up to 15. I guess you probably just stake the Hoskinson here. Huddle's not going to do it. He's one turn short.
Ouch.
Yep, that's game. That's game 1. Probably didn't want to, didn't want to reveal that he had the greed there, because obviously we have to use this deck again.
Shall we swap perspectives to Cryptic Witcher?
Yeah, we'll jump across.
Hey. Blue orange, very control.
very controlling hand here for the Witcher, but also just a very slow hand as well. Not much actually going on here.
So choosing Q-Rog as the minion for this one.
Definitely fits in that sort of control-y style deck, especially when you have time travels as well. Q-Rug and time travel being a very powerful combo, able to, you know, board clear multiple times off the one card. It'd be very, very strong.
Gets the better freeze there.
Can be unfortunate, but yeah, unfortunately RNG can be a thing.
Lucky for Honcho, he had a Shocktooth in hand to be able to 1-for-1. Stake the Shocktooth, deal 1 damage, and then trade the other one. Still maintaining good board control at the moment. But definitely had a card disadvantage. So Cryptic Witcher could be baiting more minions for the time travel.
Potentially also looking to gain a board position where Huncho might start drawing cards. It's always fun when you can time travel and kill something.
Huncho commits, the Helders are... And Cryptic top decks an orange card, which he needs if he wants to time travel now.
There it goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's quite a good time travel.
Without top decking that, we may have seen a staked Quantum Rug, depending on how important that time travel was.
Yeah, we're Do we know if Hunter is running Flame Salamanders in this deck?
Not sure. We definitely didn't see him in the other deck.
Both of Hunter's decks are like featuring cards that we don't often see.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how some of these top players not just try to build decks that they feel might be the strongest meta deck at the time, but working off that assumption that there are a lot of players playing very specific decks, try to actually cook something that may have advantages over those decks specifically. Cryptic choosing to run the Rainbow Lotus over the Aurora in this deck.
What happens to draw it pretty late in the game, so it does have the versatility to still be useful, but I think it's best if you can get it in your opening hand.
Yeah, I mean any turns before this turn would be handy because it's acceleration towards that Quantum Rug potentially, and the fact that it gives you a charge gem means it's not as big of a loss compared to some other gem advantage cards. But yeah. Looks the Elon. Double face, probably not what he's after there. Yeah. That WoW emote I feel is very symbolic of how Huncho would have... Yeah, we definitely would have wanted to try and hit... I mean, in an ideal world, I think both hit the blue champion.
Pretty low chance of happening. Even some damage on the blue champion if he had a follow-up. I don't think he was too invested in hitting the gargoyle.
Ooh, we're gonna see the gem Rainbow Lotus there. Even just being able to use it to smooth out your mana, or gems I should say, in the late game, quite handy.
Looks like Hunter is getting a decent lead here, actually. There's the Q-Rog in Cryptic Witch's hand, which is a good comeback card, but aside from that, Hunter has both board advantage, initiative, hand advantage, and health advantage.
I mean, it's really going to come down to that rug. Huncho probably has enough experience not to overextend into it.
He's also used, I think, 3 Sharptooth Tigers, so the ping on the force field might be a bit trickier now. But yeah, it's able to roll the dice with.
Huncho's representing lethal. You got purple champ, purple.
You don't want to banish the Elon.
6/4. No, not enough.
Yeah.
Oh no, just enough, I think. Yeah.
There you go. Kills his own pink champion in the process. Gets -4/-4 on the rug because he couldn't force any minions to die before playing it. Now if Hunter's held back some strong follow-ups, this is where he could really take control. Mastodon, right? That's it. That invites like a pretty favorable trade for Cryptic.
Yeah, especially now we know all the Sharptooths are gone. Ooh, that's a hell of a top deck. Trade, time travel. maybe even just pass the turn.
Brutal. Unfortunate, Hunter didn't even have like an energy blast to kill the Q-Rug and prevent that combo. It's always really, really sad to see your opponent time travel their Q-Rug back to hand.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest forms, I guess, of indirect card advantage in the game. There's the Aurora for Hunter. Definitely, having known, now that he knows that Cryptic has already played out the Lotus, knows that there won't be I was about to say, we'd about to see the combo, but we're not. Just gonna see a good old Campai.
The little guys.
Yep, not so little after the Aurora.
Trying to get the Q-Rug.
I was about to say, if there's ever a board state that you want to just drop the Q-Rug again, this is it.
No, it leaves you with a pretty weak rug.
It does, but I mean, you don't really want to leave.
Yeah, you don't have much alternative at this point, unfortunately.
Gargoyle, water. He's gonna try and work his way through it. Oh wow. Cold storage off the top. We're seeing some insane top decks here for Cryptic. Cold storage, swing face.
Not bothering with the cold storage.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, he's still got it.
I mean, he's also just kind of happy to see Huncho have to hand him so much lifesteal as well. Even with the Q-Rug, Huncho's still having a very nice card advantage as far as hand goes.
Yeah, it's a pretty close game.
Huncho have his own time travel, maybe? This feels...
a lot of commitment.
Yeah. This feels very overcommitted knowing that your opponent has a rug in hand.
Played the extra 2 gems at the end, fearing a time travel, but...
I mean, you saw the rug get time traveled.
Yeah. But Cryptic could have rug and another time travel in hand, I suppose.
There's no world here where he doesn't just rug here, right? Like... Trade to get the lifesteal, and just to reduce how many
stats the rug releases.
Yep.
5/5 now. Okay, Hunter, you did not want to let him time travel that again. We're back to like the old days with whoever plays their mythic box.
I guess that was the play. Force the rug out.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, we are going to see. This is a champion deck. wondering about that. But then,
so Cryptic has inevitability on his side.
Yeah. Forces Huncho to play the more aggressive, quicker plays.
I mean, in order to win via Rainbow Champion, you have to draw pretty much your entire deck.
There's always that risk that the Rainbow Champion itself is sitting on the bottom. Or the other risk of running a Rainbow Champion deck that you draw it early on, and one of the champions is sitting on the bottom. Nice trade. Man, Cryptic Witcher has had some beautiful top decks this game.
Absolutely. And I mean, in normal circumstances, time traveling an opponent, Chad Raini, is the last thing you want to do, but I mean, if you're playing a Rainbow Champion deck, you just need to buy time.
Yeah, and I guess even your opponent HP, like, you don't really even care about the life steal. Zeal is a nice like mini board quiz. Cold Storage buys a turn, Water Elemental potentially buys a turn. It's just, yeah, just waiting and seeing how far.
And this is exciting. Part of me wants Hunter to win so we can go to a game 3, but also if we can witness a victory via Rainbow Champion, that'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a strategy that players have tried to figure out, even right back as far as like some of our earliest alphas. Rainbow Champion's been a deck for a long time, been in the meta for a long time. But I guess, yeah, it took some of these like 7DS pieces, or even just the meta evolving to where it is, where it's that slower, control-y sort of matchup, where, you know, we're seeing potentially the meta shift again, where Rainbow Champion's viable. Wonder if the Shocktooth Tiger there was a play around Zeal potentially, or just try to put as much pressure on the board.
Plays around Water Elemental too. It's a more efficient way to just freeze.
Gargoyle.
I mean, you can gargoyle.
50-50.
Can you gargoyle? No, Chad can't be banished, so it always gets the Tiger, but then you can walk Elemental. Can't hit the Shocktooth.
I don't think he swings here. I think it does more just to get it out in case he draws. I think he's played most of them now. We'll be able to tell once he draws the Rainbow Champion. As someone who's played a lot of TCGs though, when you're playing against a deck that has this sort of inevitability to it, there's I mean, it's well timed.
Oh, the Flame Salamander stake. That's perfect.
Even throws out the WoW BM at the same time. Does he potentially have lethal here? He's got lethal.
Yeah, Lost Custody, no way.
There's the airdrop. I think we're about to go to a game 3. There it is.
Beautiful.
And with the Aurora, the combo is 21 damage too. Wow.
So, that was a great game.
Both players now switching to their undefeated decks.
I guess we go back to Huncho for this one?
Yeah, we can switch back. we'll get to see, yeah, Huncho's Phoenix deck in action again. And obviously we know it's against the Rainbow Champion deck of Cryptic Witcher.
Now, interestingly, because we saw the Flame Salamander stake last game to get Huncho the win, we know it can't feature in this game. Cryptic Witcher using the same deck, it's very heavily reliant on freeze. He might have an easier time. But by the same token, we know that Huncho runs Wen Lambo in this deck, so it kind of bypasses a lot of the freeze mechanics.
Yeah, when Lambo, that pump mechanic having a very drastic effect on the board. But obviously with all of our season cards affecting both sides of the board equally. So really comes down to players now taking advantage of the season they choose to play or adapting to their opponent's season. About to see a classic water elemental trade-off here.
Cryptic just passed the turn, hey?
Yeah, interesting.
5 gems. He's not setting up a time travel either, he needs 3 orange. You get your Phoenixes charging now.
I guess against this specific deck, it's a bit harder. Like, Cryptic Witcher dropping less minions in general. Well, you got all the champions, obviously. So a little bit harder to trade in the Phoenixes. And obviously then you've got the issue. Definitely clear the board here and drop the Phoenix and then pass the turn back. But without that Wen Lambo, obviously the Phoenix combo is significantly slower.
Yeah, I'm missing that vital combo piece. There it is.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, definitely taking that more aggressive route with this deck this time around, given that we know he's on a clock. that's a nice Oni setup there with the Wenlander. I think you just stake the Rainbow Recharge here for the 5th blue, right? You don't want to risk not having it for the greed.
Yeah, makes sense. Blue champion just out of reach, only shockwave there, right?
It's just out, but it means you can still trade in with one of the multi-strikes.
Yeah.
Okay, go to instead.
Swing's face, fair enough.
Surprised we actually haven't seen any of the red light infusions in Huncho's deck for the overkill. Obviously the yellow great to sort of sustain and get that nice boost off the pumped or pumped and power enriched phoenixes. But having when Lambo and red light infusion giving that sort of one hit KO potential. But again, if you're running greed, I guess the idea is more how do you survive until you've got 12 gems?
Yeah, lots of ways to do it. Jump again.
I mean, you're always kind of happy when Zeal is just used as a single target removal.
Especially for like a 4/7.
Phoenix still not quite there.
So that's 6 power.
That's a 6, yeah.
Yeah, 7 is definitely an awkward HP total for Hunter to deal with right now.
Oh, interesting.
Uses the Rainbow Recharge. Interesting, yeah. Now it's an 8.
Gets a double pump on that Phoenix. Although we now know, looking at Huncho's hand, that if he isn't able to draw another blue card, potentially can be in an awkward spot here with the greed ready to go.
Update. It looks like George took out Q Pioneer.
Cool, we're going to see George advancing then through the lower bracket. I mean, both of them very well established tournament players in their own right. I'm pretty sure both of them have taken out some of our smaller regular weekly tournaments on Blue Mint. Cryptic just digging here. So there's the question again. Would he stake the Quantum Rug potentially next turn for green? It's also one short of lethal with the Phoenix on board, assuming that Phoenix doesn't get...
It'll probably get frozen again, you'd think, right? Or time traveled, or banished, or... Yeah. Yeah, the interesting thing with greed is there's no way to avoid that second turn's damage. You can't
Yep.
double free.
Yeah, I mean Cryptic's still, 11 cards in deck, so still digging potentially.
Just plays a little Guardian and a cold storage.
So, no. Oh, okay, alright. So there's the cold storage off the top. Didn't want to play the Oni.
Yeah. It's a delicate thing. I mean, I know Huncho has an advantage now that the clock is ticking. Cryptic is going through his deck pretty quickly.
I would have thought play the Oni just to trade into the defender at least. Would have felt like the right play.
I'm sure Huncho's got his logic behind maybe playing around time travel or Q-Rogue or something. Yeah, it's just not applying a lot of pressure for a deck as heavy on control as Cryptic has to have one Phoenix on the board, even if it is at 9 power.
And there's the HODL as well for another way to get the greed online. For players who may not have played much 7DS, you may not have seen this very often. Assuming Huncho's going to greed out here. No, he's not. Decides to get the 2-for-1 with the Oni.
Maybe that's what he was waiting for.
Yeah.
More value.
4 cards left in Cryptic's deck.
I suppose that is a good point. Like, the defender is a bit of a liability being at 3 HP. It's the perfect amount for Oni to kill and then deal the 6 shockwave damage.
Does Cryptic realize that
there's that time travel?
Why the turn?
I don't think another champion.
Three cards left in deck. Unless the last card he needs is at the bottom. He's probably got this. Gets the double Phoenix bomb. But most likely not going to be enough here. Unless the card he needs is literally the last card.
Yeah, I think Hunter just took a bit too long to get the greed online.
He's got 7 gems.
Champion. He's got another turn, but he has to know it's coming now too.
Yeah, I don't even see a greed doing anything here. Yeah, unfortunately that greed deck just not quite quick enough to be able to answer. believe we're about to see a rainbow.
There it is. 1220 damage.
That's painful.
What a finish.